A new warning about the threat of a massive supervolcano eruption, like the one under Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming.
Underneath Yellowstone, that if it erupts in a maximum eruption called Category 8, it could literally tear the guts out of the United States of America. Instead of having 50 states of the Union, we would only have 30 states of the Union.
A cube 6 miles across, deep and high, and that's how much lava came out.
Volcano, like this Yellowstone thing, we thought it was just this crazy place with hot springs. Like, no, that's a super volcano that is a continent killer, and it blows every 600,000 to 800,000 years, and everyone dies. Like, the whole fucking country dies.
The Yellowstone volcano has been all over the news in recent weeks. This massive supervolcano that has been a major tourist attraction site for decades has recently forcefully opened up by a fissure crack that is 100 feet wide. What's even more scary is that the volcano has been showing signs of erupting, and you have no idea what destruction it could cause if that happens. Renowned physicist Michio Kaku has just announced that Yellowstone will erupt in 2024, which could lead to total destruction. Moreover, Neil deGrasse Tyson believes that the Yellowstone volcano eruption has already begun. Everyone has been talking about this possible eruption, and Joe Rogan has warned about the crack and the seriousness of the situation. What was Joe Rogan's concern in his warning, and what could actually happen if the supervolcano suddenly erupts? What exactly is happening? Join us as we explore the current situation at Yellowstone National Park. The world's largest active geyser has erupted 3 times in the last month at Yellowstone National Park, in a pattern that is unusual but not at all indicative of a more destructive volcanic eruption brewing beneath Wyoming, geologists said on Saturday. Steamboat Geyser, which can shoot water as high as 300 feet into the air, erupted on March 15, April 19, and on Friday. The last time it erupted 3 times in a year was in 2003, the U.S. Geological Survey's Yellowstone Volcano Observatory said. National Park. Imagine standing on the edge of a bubbling, steaming cauldron of geological wonder, where the earth shifts and trembles beneath your feet. Well, that's exactly what's been happening in Yellowstone lately. The recent surge in seismic activity is unlike anything we've seen in decades. It's a sobering reminder of the raw power and unpredictability of Mother Nature. So, what's causing this seismic stir? Could it be a prelude to a tragic event? Join us as we unravel how a Yellowstone official recently gave a serious warning after hundreds of quakes hit the national park. Yellowstone volcano, also called the Yellowstone caldera, is the supervolcano located in Yellowstone National Park in the United States. The national park is in Wyoming in America. The Yellowstone caldera, sometimes referred to as the Yellowstone supervolcano, is a volcanic caldera and supervolcano in Yellowstone National Park in the western United States. The caldera and most of the park are located in the northwest corner of the state of Wyoming. The caldera measures 43 by 28 miles, and post-caldera lava spill out a significant distance beyond the caldera proper. The caldera formed during the last of 3 super eruptions over the past 2.1 million years, the Huckleberry Ridge eruption 2.1 million years ago, which created the Island Park caldera, and the Huckleberry Ridge tuff. The Mesa Falls eruption 1.3 million years ago, which created the Henry's Fork caldera and the Mesa Falls tuff, and the Lava Creek eruption approximately 640,000 years ago, which created the Yellowstone caldera and the Lava Creek tuff. Just when we thought Yellowstone's geological drama couldn't get any more intense, officials dropped a bombshell. The park has experienced hundreds of earthquakes in the past months, and many geologists are terrified of the impending implications. The latest warning from the United States Geological Survey is absolutely terrifying. Find out what's happening beneath the surface in this eye-opening video. What will happen if Yellowstone volcano erupts? You can think of the hot spot as a blowtorch. It's creating melt in the mantle, and that melt is rising and melting the continental crust above it. At the moment, a 50 kilometers wide chamber of molten rock magma sits about 8 kilometers beneath Yellowstone. When the crust above the chamber no longer can withstand the upward pressure of the swelling magma chamber, it fractures and the magma erupts. The first of Yellowstone's 3 big eruptions was 2.1 million years ago, the next was 1.3 million years ago, and the last was 640,000 years ago. During each event, gas-laden magma erupted explosively like an uncorked champagne bottle. The explosions shattered magma and overlying rocks into fragments and ash particles. Fluid magma exploded through the fractures and paved the Yellowstone soil. Only about 10% of the magma chamber exploded in each supervolcano event. Still, that amounted to more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of material per eruption. 2 of the 3 eruptions put out enough volcanic ash to spread a cloud all the way to the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico. This blocked the sun's rays and cooled the Earth's atmosphere, which took years to recover. After each eruption, the roof of the partially emptied magma chamber collapsed, forming an enormous surface depression called a caldera. When the magma chamber filled again to a pressure point, it erupted in a slightly different location. Remnants of the cliff-like walls of Yellowstone's 3 calderas are still visible. When a sleeping giant awakes. A sleeping giant is nestled in the western part of the United States. Though it stirs occasionally, it has not risen from slumber in nearly 70,000 years. But when it finally awakes, it may roar and heave with unprecedented force. This giant is the supervolcano that lies beneath Yellowstone National Park, the wildlife and forest preserve positioned on a sprawling expanse that extends through the states of Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. The volcano itself is actually located in northwestern Wyoming, which is where the bulk of Yellowstone is contained. Officials of the United States Geological Survey say a massive eruption like the last one is an unlikely scenario. In fact, officials at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory say the most likely activities that might take place in the future are hydrothermal explosions, eruptions of steam and hot water, rather than molten rock or lava flows. Today, Yellowstone sleeps, with scientists checking its every hiccup or cough in an effort to predict its next move. While the brewing force beneath the park has been restrained for thousands of years, Yellowstone's dormancy does not mean it will not one day awaken. The question remains, when and with what force? Volcanism at Yellowstone is relatively recent, with calderas created by large eruptions that took place 2.1 million, 1.3 million, and 640,000 years ago. The calderas lie over the Yellowstone hotspot under the Yellowstone Plateau, where light and hot magma, molten rock, from the mantle rises toward the surface. The hotspot appears to move across terrain in the east-northeast direction, and is responsible for the eastern half of Idaho's Snake River Plain. But in fact, the hotspot is much deeper than the surrounding terrain and remains stationary while the North American plate moves west-southwest over it. Non-explosive eruptions of lava and less violent explosive eruptions have occurred in and near the Yellowstone caldera since the last supereruption. The most recent lava flow occurred about 70,000 years ago, while a violent eruption excavated the west thumb of Lake Yellowstone 174,000 years ago. Smaller steam explosions occur as well. Yellowstone has always been a very active place, attracting crowds of tourists worldwide with its impressive attractions. However, there is now an additional reason to be careful when exploring this place. If Yellowstone were to erupt at its highest known level, known as Category 8, it would be capable of causing extreme destruction in the United States of America.